Hey guys, Joyboy here. Got another Q&A type post today. This time I wanted to discuss Blackbeard and the panel in which Luffy and Zoro call Blackbeard a they, quote unquote, rather than a he. So let's get this shit started. So first off, this arises because there's a little bit of confusion within the community as to what Zoro and Luffy actually meant when they called Blackbeard a they. A common criticism is that when they said that Blackbeard is in fact a they and not a he, is that they were talking about Blackbeard's crew and Blackbeard as a group rather than Blackbeard specifically. And the people that, like me, they believe that Luffy and Zoro were actually referring to Blackbeard specifically as more than one person, as a they. This ties directly into the theory in which Blackbeard is more than one person, and that is the reason why he can consume more than one devil fruit. This is different from the Cerberus theory, which the Cerberus theory stated that he ate a devil fruit, which allowed him to eat basically more devil fruits. In this belief, and this is a belief that I hold, is Blackbeard is actually more than one person, and therefore he can eat more than one devil fruit and bypass the laws which normally govern eating devil fruits. So let's get into the discussion here. Did Luffy and Zoro, are they saying that they thought that Blackbeard was more than one person, or were they actually talking about Blackbeard's crew and Blackbeard as a group? My first point here goes specifically into what exactly Nami and just the context of this panel in general. First of all, Nami asks, who is he anyway, when referring to Blackbeard? And Luffy and Zoro respond to this question about Blackbeard with, well, it's not a he, it's a they. And so if Luffy and Zoro are actually referring to his crew, then they're not actually answering Nami's question. Because Nami asked, who is he? Well, he is not him and his crew. That doesn't make a lot of sense logically. Another point that supports the fact that Luffy and Zoro were referring to Blackbeard himself and not his crew is that at this point in the story they had only met one member of Blackbeard's crew, Doc Q, who tried to give Luffy an explosive apple, and Luffy happened to choose one of the apples that didn't actually explode. How would they know that Blackbeard even had a crew at this point and that Doc Q was a member of that crew if it wasn't explained to them? It seems really strange for them to refer to a crew that they had no knowledge of at that particular time. At this point, Nami even brings up the point of, well, if you're talking about this guy's crew, he has companions. Where are they? As though this is to her seems to be the only logical meaning as to what they were saying, because it seems extremely far-fetched to believe that somebody could be more than one person. But I believe that Luffy and Zoro were saying that he is more than one person. Although the method of how they obtain this information about Blackbeard is very much unclear at this moment, I think there's lots of evidence to suggest that Blackbeard is actually more than one person. If you go through all the evidence, this has been laid out in many theories. First of all, Blackbeard's Jolly Roger has 3 skulls on it, and we know that he has eaten more than one devil fruit, which should be impossible. And additionally, Marco has said that he has a very weird body, a strangeness about him. All these things sort of lead you to the conclusion that there is definitely something weird going on with Blackbeard. And additionally, with these comments from Luffy and Zoro, it really makes you start to wonder, is Blackbeard actually more than one person? While I won't sit here and argue that I know for a fact how Blackbeard could be more than one person, I will say there is substantial evidence to suggest that he might actually be more than one person. And I think this will be a huge, huge plot point going forward and explanation as to why he can eat more than one devil fruit. And other theories on this topic suggest that he can eat more than one devil fruit because of his Yami Yami no Mi. However, that has been basically debunked since the Dressrosa arc, when Oda showed um, the champion Jesus Burgess fighting against Sabo. Burgess basically says that he's going to steal Sabo's fruit, but Blackbeard is nowhere there. So somehow Burgess can steal Sabo's fruit without Blackbeard actually being present, which suggests to me that the Yami Yami no Mi does not play a role in devil fruit theft. So what do I actually think is going on here? Well, I think it's pretty much as simple as this. First of all, Blackbeard is more than one person, and that's why he can eat more than one devil fruit. However, him being able to eat more than one devil fruit, I believe, is different from him being able to obtain the fruits of others. Uh, I Going back to the Punk Hazard arc and Caesar and his abomination that he created, Smiley, we saw that after Smiley died, Smiley's fruit actually transitioned or turned it transferred to an apple that was nearby. And so I believe that this is actually explaining how devil fruits basically respawn in the world. When a devil fruit user dies, in this case Smiley, their fruit transfers to a nearby fruit of some sort. I think we can say that with a certain amount of certainty. Now, what Blackbeard could be doing, the information that he knows, is that if he kills a devil fruit user, perhaps if he has fruit on his person or brings fruit with him, then when he kills that person, one of the fruits that he brings will actually become the devil fruit that he wants to eat. So going back to the Whitebeard Marineford arc, I really do think that it's as simple as Whitebeard had just died and he happened to have the correct fruit, so that the Gura Gura no Mi, when Whitebeard died, transferred and became one of the fruit he that he had on his person. And many people will be like, well, it didn't appear that he had any fruit on him. Well, I'll say that this was being broadcasted live to people all around the world. This is clearly a very important bit of information for obtaining devil fruits, and information that I don't think Blackbeard would want to hand out readily. Therefore, covering up Whitebeard is just a means of sort of keeping it ambiguous as to how Blackbeard did it, and so that other people wouldn't copy him and do the same thing. There's some other theories out there that talk about the knife that Blackbeard always has on him, and how this somehow helps him obtain devil fruits or eat multiple devil fruits. And this theory was supported when it was shown that Jesus Burgess, who is a fighter who does not use weapons, he uses his fists, was shown carrying a knife whenever he attacked Sabo. So I believe that this does have a role in obtaining devil fruits, but I think the role is a lot simpler than a lot of people seem to think at this moment. I really do think that that knife is simply there to help kill their enemies easier. Um, One Piece logic doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I still believe, as far as real world terms, it is easier to kill someone with a sharp object than it would be to kill someone with your fists. That's why Blackbeard and Burgess both brought a knife with them, is basically to simplify the killing process. Um, Once they have killed that user, then uh, they would bring devil fruits with them, and one of the devil fruits, or one of the fruits, they bring fruits with them, and one of the fruits that they brought would actually turn into the devil fruit of the user that they had just killed, and then they eat the fruit. Um, but normal people will only be able to eat one fruit. But Blackbeard is special because I believe that he's actually three people, and so that's why he's able to eat additional fruit. And a little bit of additional evidence here that really supports this theory, going back to the fight of Burgess versus Sabo, you'll notice that Burgess is wearing this strange, if you watch the anime, strange green colored bag around his neck, or it ties around his neck and extends onto his back. And it's just really out of place. It's something that Burgess hadn't worn previously. If you look at the actual bag, it has little swirlies that you see on devil fruits. It makes you wonder if, what's inside of this bag. Maybe it's just a bunch of fruit, actual regular fruit there, intended to turn into devil fruit once he killed his target, uh, and the fruit inside of his bag turned into a devil fruit. I really think that this is the case, and that bag is certainly out of place, and something that I think really supports this theory that the means by which the Blackbeard crew is obtaining rare devil fruits is literally by bringing fruit with them as they kill devil fruit users, because of their understanding of how devil fruits work. Another point I'd like to bring up is maybe it's requires a specific kind of fruit to have your fruit turn into the devil fruit, of the devil fruit user you just killed. If you go back to some specific devil fruit that we've seen, if you look at Kaku's fruit that he ate, it actually looks like a banana. And we know that Blackbeard in the past has had this book where it lists all the devil fruits, their description, and what the abilities are. I wonder if um, Blackbeard actually uses his knowledge of this book to um, pick the correct kind of fruit for the type of devil fruit that they're actually looking to obtain from whatever user that they're trying to steal this fruit from. So for instance, if you wanted Kaku's fruit, you would need to bring a banana with you so that when you killed Kaku, the banana that you bring with you would turn into his giraffe zone type devil fruit. So, given Blackbeard's knowledge of the devil fruits and what they look like, he could have easily have brought just a singular fruit with him to Marineford, with the plan in his head of killing Whitebeard and having Whitebeard's fruit transfer to him, or into the fruit that he was possessing. And given that he had this book that had knowledge on devil fruit, I wouldn't be surprised if Whitebeard's Gura no Mi was actually mentioned specifically in this book, so he knew exactly which type of fruit to bring with him. So going back to Jesus Burgess, he has this huge sack with him that I suspect is filled with fruit. What would explain why he brought a sack and not a singular fruit is that Jesus Burgess didn't necessarily know which kind of fruit that he would be stealing. Remember, when he originally came to Dressrosa, that fruit was uneaten. So he was hoping to just win the tournament and eat the fruit itself. So there's no need to kill a devil fruit user to obtain the fruit. However, I think that since he's separated from Blackbeard's crew, if he came across a devil fruit user whose devil fruit abilities that he wanted, he would need an assortment of fruit, so many different kinds of fruit to account for all the varying possibilities of devil fruit users that he could potentially come across. So ultimately what eventually happened is he came across Sabo, and Sabo had eaten the Maramara no Mi, and so given the fact that he had many different devil fruits with him, I'm sure that he felt that if he killed Sabo, then one of the fruits in his bag would turn into the Maramara no Mi. So anyway, that's it for this discussion, guys. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you have any additional points to add to my theory, or anything that you think contradicts what I believe